Start recording. All right. This is the Interstice podcast, and we have on today Tyler Crane, a man who wears many hats. You're a director, you're an editor, you're a colorist, you're probably many more things. But you've been working in Japan now in those roles for how long?
It's coming up about 2 years now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
So a little over 2 years. Yeah.
A little over 2 years. Excellent.
Yeah.
I'd want, of course, we can get into the specifics of that, which would be great.
Okay.
But it'd be cool just so people have a little bit of a sense of how you got here. Like, how did you initially arrive?
Yeah.
How has it been? What's your story there?
So I've been in Japan now for about 5 years.
Okay.
How I got here is quite a story. Something I don't suggest anyone to try. No, so I got here in 2016, and before I got here in America, I was kind of going through a pretty difficult time, fighting a lot of demons, and it just got to a point where I knew I needed a change in my life, and so I knew that I always wanted to live in Japan. I just didn't know how I was going to get here or anything like that. And I was tired of waiting on an Ikawa or some kind of English school to hire me. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna come. And so I literally took out a map of Japan, I closed my eyes and I said, I'm going here. And then I landed on Kitakyushu.
Okay.
And then 2 weeks later, I flew out to Kitakyushu, and it took me about a month and a half or so to settle in. I was literally the first week I was staying on the beach, just camping out on the beach.
On the beach, sleeping there?
On the beach, sleeping there, yeah. Yeah, and then park benches in the park, and then I met some cool guys up in Okja. It's like the city part of Kitakyushu, who ended up letting me stay at their house and helping me get settled in to Japan. Every single day that I was there, I was literally going out to every single English school, dispatch company, Iowa, just passing out my resume and stuff like that. And then in the end of that second month, I got hired by Nova, right on time, right before my tourist visa was up.
So and they sponsored your visa at that point, yeah?
They did. And so I was able to stay in Japan. Then I stayed in Kitakyushu for about a year until I decided to move to Tokyo to kind of start working on my passion.
So I think it's cool. Like you said, maybe you don't recommend for everyone to do it, but I do think it's a cool example of what's possible, because I'd be the first to admit I didn't say to anyone when they reach out to me that it's impossible to do it that way, but I do caution people the extra challenge associated with it. But your case goes to show it's possible. It can be done.
It's possible, but it's stressful. Beyond belief. It was probably one of the most stressful times of my life. You just don't know what's going to happen, and then you're racing against the clock, trying to get someone to hire you, and a lot of these companies won't take that risk to hire someone who is on a tourist visa and just coming in and everything, because you got to do a lot of background checks. You got to make sure your degree is legitimate, and all the kinds of things. And so it's definitely a risky game to play.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's I mean, you have come a long way though, haven't you? When you think of how many transitions you've made through to now, how many partners are in your? What's the name of your studio, first of all?
Yeah, it's called Studio Life LLC.
LLC?
Yes, we're licensed in America, and we're working on our Kabuki Gaisha here in Japan.
And can you say it one more time? Studio
Life.
Life studio. Okay.
Studio, yeah,
All right.
Studio Life.
All right. I get that's cool. That's a cool angle. Right on.
Yeah.
And I don't. I think it's really cool. We could talk about any single part of it, but it's when you talk about uh, a variety of like I don't know inputs. Like what is it made up of? Like you've got people from all over, right? Like you've got French people, you
Yeah.
got American people, you got like
Yeah.
who is it comprised of? How many people are in the studio now?
I would say like five of the like initial people in the group. There's five of us, and then over the last 3 months or so, we've kind of expanded to maybe close to 11 now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And where are they all from? Because that's like I love the
Um,
internationalness of it.
yeah. So my creative partner Earl Lewis Williams, one of my creative partners, Earl Lewis Williams, he's from originally from Washington D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
but he would say that he's from Hawaii because he lived there like more than half of his life.
Okay.
So he would say that. And then Javier Suave, he's from Atlanta.
Okay.
He's my director of photography most of the time on set.
Okay.
Jessica McDonald, she is from Australia.
Okay. Cool.
She is my producer. She handles the day to day. Makes sure she takes care of the scheduling, the artists, the actors, or whoever. She takes care of all that stuff, so I don't have to think about it.
Nice.
Susie is from Morocco.
Okay.
She
Cool.
is a fantastic, producer. She helps out with pretty much anything on set as well. Ryosuke, he's our second AD, second AD, second AD, second AC, second everything. He just
Okay.
does it all.
Right.
He does it all. He's an amazing dude.
From
Young guy.
from Japan, I'm
Japan.
assuming, as
Yeah.
Ryosuke. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
young guy. He just started filmmaking about 3 months ago, and he's already phenomenal. Like,
That's
so
awesome.
I had met him at an event that I was shooting this like little short documentary for a company called Blimp out here in Tokyo. A couple of friends of mine who have started their clothing line. I had met Ryosuke there, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to learn filmmaking. I've been doing it for 3 weeks now." And he already bought an A7S3, a
Wow.
Ronin S2. I was like,
What?
"Wow, do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing with that?" And it was kind of funny because he's like, I was like, "Okay, I want you to be second cam, no, third cam while we have these two cameras set up, and like you could be roaming with your Ronin S2." And like I'm trying to help him with the settings and like how to dial in settings in because he didn't really know Sony cameras that well. Sony interface is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think you're a Sony user as well,
Yeah.
so you know that the menu system is crazy. So just teaching him how to get the best out of his camera, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. He's very determined and very humble, and just an amazing dude. So I was like, okay, man, you got to come work with us.
Mm.
You're just great. Um, and we have a few other people. We have our gaffer, the person that does our lighting. She's from France.
Cool.
Her name is Jennifer.
Right on.
Jennifer. And we have a couple other guys from America. One more guy from America. Another guy from South Africa.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's just Morocco, Australia, Japan, all over the place. That's eclectic. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to have so many
Yeah.
different experiences, coming together. Like that's a lot of different life coming up, to work
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool. We'll save like the different places where people can find you at the, we can shout all that out at the
Yeah,
end.
we can do that at the end.
But
Yeah.
what's something you're working on now?
Right now, so we had just finished submitting 3 of our short films into the film festival circuit.
Cool.
That's coming up, in the spring. So hopefully we get some awards coming up in the summertime. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And right
Cool.
now, we are in the pre-production for my first feature film that I'm working on.
Oh wow.
We will probably start shooting in May, and we're expecting it to be around 90 minutes and hopefully maybe 3 to 4 weeks on set.
Okay. Will that be shot in Japan?
Yeah, it'll be shot in Japan.
Okay. Exciting.
Mostly Yokohama. The reason I love shooting in Yokohama is because to me, it's kind of like the Atlanta of Japan in a
Okay.
sense, where you can get many different kinds of scenes, many different kinds of atmospheres to fit the kind of narrative that you're trying to portray to the audience, instead of the typical here's Tokyo, big buildings, lots of people that
Right,
you
right,
always
right.
see. Something that I want to do is most of my work, I don't want them to even notice that I'm in Japan. So,
Okay, that's interesting. That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
That can be difficult. That might be a challenge here.
It might be a challenge, but I'm up for it. I'm
Right
up
on,
for it.
right on. So without like we don't obviously feature film that should be kept under wraps as you develop and everything.
Yeah.
Um, but is there any particular style that you've gone for? Is it at this point that you're like, or genre that you want to focus on, or is it whatever you
Um,
find interesting right now?
it's funny, like, people when people see my work, they say that, oh, you do have a certain style. You do. And I was like, really? Do I? I didn't even notice that I had this style, but I guess I kind of see it now. I really enjoy human emotion.
Okay.
It's even in like my music videos, like I like to tell a really significant story.
Hmm.
From A to Z, a lot of music videos that you see coming out here are just, two performance scenes, big lights, nice background, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the very bare bones, basic kind of music videos that you see. Like a lot of my music videos will tell an entire story
I see.
within 5 minutes.
All
So I
right.
guess that's kind of like what I like to do.
So a little more, yeah, like more of a, it is a narrative. There's like a beginning, a middle,
Yeah,
and end to the thing.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
interesting. That's cool.
yeah,
That's cool.
definitely.
What are you using? Like, we had a little conversation about it the other night,
Yeah.
and so maybe it is that. But I'm kind of curious. There was a couple things for what it is that like educates you along the way. One of the things that you pointed out, which I thought was awesome, we were talking before, was talking about, and this could be for anybody who's listening, aspiring to this kind of thing,
Mm.
like using references. Where I've interviewed a few
Yes.
actual artists, and they talk about how drawing from imagination is incredibly difficult, like literally drawing. And so what they do is they always reference things first, and they're like, you might think it's copying, but it's like giving you that which you can then combine with everything else. And you were saying that was one of the
Exactly.
ways you teach yourself, but I was wondering
Yeah.
what other ways, like how are you
Man.
improving?
So one thing I love to do is I love to just scour like YouTube or Hulu or Netflix, and I love just watching as many things as I can just to see the imagery, to
Hmm.
see the scene. And I was like, especially if there's something that I'm having a difficult time with, like as far as a treatment, it's like from writing, I can write it down exactly what I want to do, but as far as picturing it in my head, um, like how I want to light it, how I want it to the stage, how do I want to stage it, what kind of blocking do I want? I would I would literally just try to find something that's similar to what I have in my head.
Hmm.
And then I was like, and once I come across it, okay, this is the kind of way that I want it to be. It's going to be a little different, but this has the certain lighting that I want. This has the amount of blocking that's perfect for what I'm trying to portray in here. Um, and then what I would do is like I would take a screenshot of that scene and I would put it in a timeline.
Okay.
And
Oh,
for
okay. Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll put it in the timeline.
Yeah.
And then it would just like for like the entire song or for the entire short film, I'll just have a timeline of these different scenes, and then I'll do my narration, like my script.
Right.
I'll read the script out myself, and it will match to that different scene, and then I know exactly how I want to shoot it on set.
So I'm curious because that to me it's a really great idea. You take these screenshots of the different scenes, you then narrate exactly how you want it to look, and then you're kind of like copy and pasting your ideas.
Yeah,
I'm sure it also evolves. You like take it as I want some inspiration from this, but then inevitably it kind
yeah.
of becomes your own thing. Was that your own idea that kind of workflow? Were you like, I think this will work for me? And did you find
Yeah, I
that
mean,
somewhere?
it's just kind of just how I started. Like when, like I've only been doing, and you know this because we're definitely friends outside of this. I've started actually taking film seriously 2 years ago, and I wanted to know, like, okay, how do I make myself better? How can I differentiate myself? And so that's just kind of something that I picked up along the way.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, this helps my workflow so much better instead of going on set, not really having an idea of how you want to shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're scrambling and you're wasting time. So, like, my thing for kind of what I give my clients, I tell them quality and a quick turnaround,
Right.
high
Sure.
quality and a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
So, uh, I needed to find a way to expedite my workflow. And that was it.
That's so cool, man. That's just like I don't know. It's in the first place you're going to consume a lot of different media, so that's going to mean that you're going to expose yourself to a lot to look at. It's going to be efficient
Yep.
because you can like lay it out to see it all in front of you in terms of the way that you want to make it flow. It was just when I heard that I was like, is that a did you read a book or something? Was that a borrowed technique or no? It was like it's just
I wish.
what you arrived
I
at is
wish.
phenomenal. That's really really cool.
Yeah.
No.
It's just something that I noticed along the way is like, I don't like feeling rushed, right?
Yeah.
Especially if we have, like, if we rented a space for a certain amount of time, or we have the artist for a certain amount of time and they need to go somewhere. It's a panic for me as a director, or if I'm the cinematographer, to have to be rushed by outside elements that I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to figure out a way to make sure I have everything in line, ready to go exactly at that time. So
Right on.
that's just what we came upon. And so now that's our, like, company workflow. Now that's how we do all of our different projects.
Right on. I feel we should we should have like a trademark for this. This would be, you always see that like master class or whatever on YouTube. This is like
I'm,
Tyler
I'm
Crane's
sure.
master class, you know.
I'm
Uh,
sure I'm not the only one that does this, man. I'm not definitely sure I'm not.
no, it's cool though.
Yeah.
I'm curious with the way it's everything always seems like slower than you would like it to be in the moment,
Yeah.
right? Like when you're doing things, you're always
Yeah.
like, why does everything take so much time? Whether that's in a literal sense, you're like all this day filming, or in a broader sense where you're talking about your progress through the industry. But then it's always afterwards that you think, wow, that just flew by. I'm wondering, like, do you have an idea or a vision for yourself in the next, like, what would you like to be doing in 5 years? Where do you see that?
In 5 years, I expect to be shooting 3 feature films per year.
Okay. Three at a time.
Yeah.
Don't oversaturate. Don't oversaturate.
Nope. No,
Okay.
man.
Okay.
Not oversaturating. Like,
Okay.
that's our thing. That's a collective mindset as well. Like,
Okay.
we have mounds and mounds and mounds of scripts, and, like, we're always writing. And
Okay.
so we're just, like, going through our database. It's like, okay, what short film are we thinking about shooting here, or what story do we want to develop more into an actual film? And we have a lot of great ideas. And something that I feel like I'm really good at is putting myself in a position to talk to the right people in the industry
Mm.
and building relationships with them, and also learning from them as well. Um, and just trying to being a sponge and just getting as much knowledge from these people who are way above me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and just seeing what, the things that they would do, and just, like, I guess talking to them. It's like, okay, what do you think about this script right here? Do you think this is good? What about this part?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this? Do we need to change this? Does it show enough emotion? What do you think she should do in this situation? And you just, getting that feedback and just learning from them, like, that has made us uh, I guess you could say it's made us to where we're at a point where we have a really good start on where we want to go,
Mm-hmm.
and we have enough scripts and treatments and concepts to do 3 films per year in the
Okay.
next 5 years.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, man. Aspirations are not meant to be small, right? That's the whole point of them. They're supposed to be,
exactly, exactly.
if they don't intimidate you, then they're the wrong ones. So that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really good. Do you think it would still be in Japan, or is at that point would you be like internationally filming this at that point?
Oh, 100% international.
Okay, okay,
Definitely,
that makes
definitely.
sense. Again,
I think for me, and this is maybe just being a little too ambitious, man, but I kind of want to be known as like just filming all over Asia,
cool. Yeah, yeah, I get
films
that.
all over Asia, all over Asia.
I feel that. I feel that way too. That's like if I said in 5 years, that's much as I always want to represent Japan because I feel that there's some, well, there's much that I owe to the experience
Yeah,
here, right? That like
100%.
I've grown up here and it'll always be kind of my cinematic home in some sense,
Yeah,
but I really appreciate
definitely.
that too. That the whole point is to make great films and things that are emotionally impactful, and those can be
Yeah.
everywhere and should be everywhere. And with the way the world's evolving, I think that it's kind of like it's already hinting at that's naturally what's going to happen if that's your interest.
Hmm.
Like distances,
Hmm.
not just in communication, but I think in travel. I mean, this is going on
Hmm.
kind of like a weird tangent, but it does relate to what we're talking about directly. I was talking
Yeah.
to my buddy the other day. He's got like the inside track on what they're called, like solid state batteries, and
Hmm.
they're in development right now. And we're a big limit, I would say, for anybody who's like halfway conscientious for international filming, is just the amount of flying that you would do for that, and what we know now about like when you're burning that much fuel. Things, it's important that we address that within the next like decade or so, these like solid state batteries are supposed to come out that will replace fuel airplanes, and so the actual like
Hmm.
emissions of travel will then so reduce that you won't need to feel
Nice.
this like fear that you traveling 30 times a year is basically put
Yeah.
that much more of a hole in the atmosphere, or
Yeah.
whatever, trap that much more CO2. Is really, it's all connected. It's all really really exciting.
Hmm.
Do you have any particular country that you would like could first see that in, or is it just like Asia
Uh,
generally?
Definitely Korea.
Oh,
I
cool.
am a huge, huge fan of Korean movies, Korean TV shows, dramas.
Right on.
Um, I I think Korea has some of the best cinematography I've ever seen in my life, and just the storytelling in general. But I think a lot of people when they think about Korean drama is like the sappy love story and things like that. But that's only just one part of it. There's so many more
Mm.
different stories out there that are just really, really, really good.
Okay.
And the way that they shoot things is just really, really good. Like their framing, their composition, their pacing, it's all just incredible.
It's funny you say that. Like, I do agree. I have a limited experience with it, but I completely agree. Like, one of the first ones that I saw, and this isn't, it's pretty mainstream in terms of the whole Korean thing, but it was Snowpiercer. That one
Oh yeah,
about the train.
fantastic.
It was crazy. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, this is so unique. This is so cool. Everything that you described, really imaginative. And it may have even been the same director, but it's been on Netflix for ages and I wanted to watch it, but it was just last night I finally did. And it's called Okja. And it's
Yeah,
about this,
Boon
like,
Ho.
which one,
Yeah.
sir? You
Boon
know?
Ho is the director for
Right, right, right,
Okja,
right,
Snowpiercer,
right.
the other.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like you describe. It had like an uncanny pacing to it. It was uniquely beautiful in all the framing and everything, and and I liked the flavor being just, there was something different to it. It was like
Right.
yeah, it was so cool. I appreciate that angle. I
Yeah.
don't want to jump on it and piggyback and say so much that I'm like that would be my first place too, but I get that. I could see why
I
that
mean,
would
it's
be
just
so
one of the
cool.
places. It's just one of the places, definitely, and also India.
Hmm.
I definitely want to shoot in India as well. So one thing that the reason that I started filmmaking is my passion is to tell people stories,
Right.
right? And that's kind of how I migrated to your channel before I moved to Japan, and I
Hmm.
wanted to, connect with you. And I think we connected in 2015, I
Hmm.
like to say. Yeah,
Sounds about right.
2015. That's like when you when you're like at maybe 3,000 subscribers, 4,000
Yeah,
subscribers.
if that. I
Uh,
don't know. It's been slow going. It's been slow going.
it's
Yeah.
it's been a while, dude. In like and that's kind of why like I loved your channel. It's just the way that the your channel was so different from any other Japan YouTubers channel because yes, it talked about Japan, but you went so much deeper. You were a lot more cerebral in a sense. And, you had a way of connecting with the viewers in a sense that, you want to tell them like how to have a right mindset here.
I
You're
appreciate that,
not
man.
just telling us the favorite snacks and the convenience stuff like that. You want to tell us like how can you stay sane in Japan?
Those snacks are pretty damn delicious, though. Pretty damn delicious.
And I was like, that's why I had to connect with you. I was like, dude, like this is amazing, man. And then yeah, so yeah, I love to tell people stories, and so not only when I say those three films per month, it's not just like fictional work. I want to do documentaries as well. That's
Oh,
something I really
nice.
love doing.
Nice.
Um, and so we have a couple that we're planning right now, and I think I've mentioned a couple to you as well
Yeah,
in the
you have, and
past.
they were good ideas. They were really good at like. I'm certain
Yeah,
those would land for sure.
yeah,
Again, we know not to mention them here because we don't want to, let the rabbit out of the hat just yet. But
yeah,
they're great ideas. I think
yeah,
people would find really interesting. Kind of the sort of thing where people would engage with it in a way that they were like, "Oh, I totally get this. I'm so into this," but I didn't know that I was. Which I think is
exactly.
some of the best connections you can make. The perfect example I have for this is like I haven't even watched it yet, but that it's that thing that everybody needed in their life that they didn't know, which was like Tiger King or whatever that guy was. Where I'm like, who knew that that was the thing that like everybody needed in their life, but then just
Yeah,
blindsides everyone with how much appeal that it has. Like I really do think
right,
some of those
right.
ideas land in that way. So it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting as those come
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
We're
that's
getting ready
cool.
to ramp that up now. It's like, because I still definitely want to tell that story because I feel like it's something that everyone here uses all day, every day. Everyone has it, but they take it for granted. And they don't know where it came from.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like so many parts of our lives are like that actually. The taken for granted, but the underlying stories are so interesting as to how they came to
exactly,
be. Yeah, that's
yeah.
really cool. I'm curious why India? Why particularly India, do you say? Because I got some
India,
interest there, but what's your perspective?
India is a very interesting place. I've been there a few times.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the people there are phenomenal people. Not only in just the major cities as well, but like in the poorer parts of India. And one thing that kind of interested me, being an American and being a Black American, hair.
Okay. All right.
Uh, yeah, as you may know, a lot of Black women wear like hair inside of their hair, like they'll have like extensions and things like that.
The weave?
And
Is that the weave?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's
All
the
right.
weave.
All right.
But a lot of those weaves come from India.
Okay. All right. I'm learning now. I didn't know that.
And so there's, but the way, so I learned this in India. Like I actually witnessed it and seen the shops and seeing how it's been created, the way that they make it, and the people who are cutting their hair off and have to go through this. that's a deeper story. It's a much deeper story. And it's a very sad story. So I want to tell that story.
Man, that's again.
Sure.
I feel like we're letting too many. I shouldn't have even asked you because
It's
that's like I don't. If we see that documentary on Netflix in the next year, we might have to edit this out. But that's
yeah.
fascinating. That's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
I think I'll get there first.
okay. Good,
I'll get
good,
there
good.
first.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. There's a benefit to the scale of this podcast right now. You needn't worry that anyone hear about it. So that's cool.
No, I mean, it's just a story that I want to tell. You know, I've been working on it for a while now. I've been talking to a lot of people over there, and you know, I've actually got funding from a company that I'm partnering with in Seattle to tell this story. So the treatment and the everything is all signed, so no one can steal it if they
Okay,
want to.
okay, good,
So
good, very
we're
cool.
good.
Right on. I know there's this. I wish you now as I talk about it, maybe you can jog my memory. The name of the neighborhood, but
Yeah.
I had a buddy who I can't remember if he'd been to India, excuse me, or if he was just telling me it was cool. But it was like this neighborhood, and it's like interesting because of how intricately it's connected. It's like really, really, really complex. It's like super multi-layered. I'm not sure if it's next to the Ganges, but he says that like cinematically, just if you go there, any portion of this neighborhood that you look at seems like it's on another planet, and it's really beautiful, but at the same time destitute. Like I want to look it up now, like famous, you know, were I on a different scale, I'd be like, Google that, but there's no one to tell to do that yet. So,
Huh.
you know, I'll,
You should tell your friend to tell me because I want to find that place
yeah,
because
man. Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible.
It is for those interested in the topic, like interested in India. It's supposed to
Yeah.
be like a quite legendary neighborhood. I think in like their most
I
major
think I know
city,
what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it
right?
yet.
Right.
I have not seen it yet.
If anybody is watching this and you know this in the comments on the actual YouTube channel, let us know down below because I'd be curious. Help
Yeah,
help me
please,
remember
please.
what I'm thinking of now. Oh,
Tag
that's
me in
cool.
it so I can know too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we can team up for that documentary on that area. Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. Okay, so you've got your documentaries, you've got your feature films. Is there anything in the feature films? Is it just the story? I'm wondering. Some people are more motivated by like an idea that they want to get, and then that they hang everything else on top of that, or the story is what drives it. You know what I mean? Some people are like, I want to send a
Hmm.
message, and then I'll find a story that suits that message, or I just want to tell a story.
Yeah. So as a director, uh, be it maybe it is a short-lived career I've had so far. I've kind of learned that the message I want to portray is a completely different message than what a lot of the audience are getting or what they
Okay,
get from it.
all right.
But it's all been really positive feedback still. And then I think that's the kind of thing that drives us crazy. And I've been researching a lot, just about a lot of different directors in the field, and they kind of had the same thing. Like, no, that's not what I was trying to tell you. That's not what I was trying to say. But you just can never tell how the audience is going to take it, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think for me, in a sense, it's a little bit of both. Maybe there is a hidden message there. Maybe there is a blatant message that I'm trying to portray as well. But um, I think most of all, for me, and the reason I like to do the kind of styles that I do, and if you've seen my work, you know that I do a lot of portrait shots, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, I love to really touch like the soul of a human who's watching by you being immersed into that actor or that character. You can see the look on their face. You can see the anger or the sadness or the happiness. And I want them to really feel that
Mm.
in whatever way that it may go, right? And I I for films, I think I kind of have a genre that I love doing now, and I think all of our short films have been this genre so far, and this kind of like psychological thriller.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I really like that a lot. I'm definitely, influenced by, you know, Emmanuel Okafor, who is an incredible film director. He started his career in Japan as well. He's a black film director from Texas.
Okay.
Started his career in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he actually just got signed to Blumhouse last year, and he created his first film, his first feature film with Blumhouse, which is called Black Box. And I suggest everyone go to your Amazon Prime and watch it because it
Oh
is
yeah.
incredible,
Okay.
incredible. His name is Emmanuel Kosei Okafor.
It's
He
called
is
Black Box.
phenomenal. Black Box. It's a really, really good film.
Cool.
Yeah, amazing. And just the way that he develops the characters in his
Mm-hmm.
film is this style that that I migrate to more and more and more because it's just so many different emotions that you can feel, especially and also like Jordan Peele, the way he did Get Out,
Mm-hmm.
and his other work is just like 1 minute is funny, 1 minute is sad, 1 minute is scary.
Hmm.
It's just so many different emotions all like packed into one film, and it's just that's just awesome to me.
I do like that when people are able to. Uh, I don't know if it's. I guess there's two things you could talk about there. There's like genre hybrid, and there's also tonal hybrid, and those are kind of like
Mm,
different things because they are distinct, right? Tone is separate, from what genre is, but they can kind of bleed into each other a little bit.
sure,
Um,
sure.
but you saying that actually reminded me of one that I didn't know this director was known for it, but I really enjoyed it when I watched the film. It was like three billboards outside of Missouri or something. It was like this. It was one of these Academy Award nominated films, and man, it would veer from like deadly serious into near like slapstick humor into scarily violent in like a series of
Right,
like 320
right.
seconds, and each time it didn't feel wrong, but it kept you like so engaged because you're like, what
Yeah,
is happening? It's
you're locked in, right?
yeah,
You're
it's
locked in.
it's really really interesting. So if you
Yeah,
can do that well, absolutely, that's a cool and different
I'm
skill.
trying to, man. It's definitely difficult, but it's the genres that I love to watch. So I hope to one day be able to create content along those lines that with of course with my own style,
Hmm.
but order to give that to an audience as well.
So I'm curious. I mean, you touched on it there, like a little bit, and basically you did it. But let's do more. I was kind of curious to hear some of the more of the people who you considered influences, and they could be like big names. They could just be other.
Yeah,
Not to diminish what people are doing on YouTube, but
yeah,
it could be YouTubers or like
yeah.
who else are people that you look to for.
Um, I think one of my biggest influences is my mentor here. His name is Hisashi Ito.
Okay.
Uh, Ito-san is like he is a commercial director,
Hmm.
but he is one of the best minds I've ever seen. Like
Hmm.
his work is phenomenal. Like he did the Apple Watch commercial that was from 2019,
Oh,
where the girl was kind of getting dragged by her Apple Watch and like dancing through the train station, and it
that's
was
cool.
just
I never saw that, but that's a great concept. I like it.
gorgeous, 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 man. And he did the AIG black black what is it black shirts? Who was the New Zealand
All
rugby team?
Blacks.
All Blacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So AIG and the All Blacks did a collaboration for AIG Insurance is a
Right. Right.
um, yeah insurance for the commercial, and it was in Tokyo. They're getting ready for the rugby tournament,
Mm-hmm.
the World Rugby tournament, and he did a commercial with that, and it was just insane. And then the Suntory commercial for Suntory whiskey, like every single thing he's touched has been just straight gold. And it's like, yes, it's only 30 seconds, but you packed like so much in just 30 seconds. I was like, I have to know who you are. And it was crazy. It was like I was following his work for years, and then he reached out to me on Instagram. I was like, what? I
Really?
was
That's
mind
incredible.
blown. I was like, this is crazy. Like, you're lying to me. This isn't you. It's like, yeah, this is my website. Yeah, like, let's meet up. It's like, Jesus Christ. And then ever since, I've just, just learned under him, man. And I've been like volunteering on his sets. Every single thing I've touched, I've like pretty much ran by him to see what he thinks about
Hmm.
it. Um, he's been my mentor, and he's just phenomenal. And now, like, I've been pushing him to go into like drama, like TV drama
Hmm.
or film. So now I think he's trying to do that switch. And when you guys see that switch, he will be one of the best directors you've ever seen. I promise you.
It's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot. I don't know a lot. Let's say I shouldn't oversell that, but I do know people going from the commercial space that then become incredibly successful, and it's kind of cool. You see their style will like it then lands itself like really well into
Yeah.
whatever they're going to do in the narrative fictional whatever they end up doing. A really cool example I was watching, it was a great documentary. I can't remember who made it, but it was a YouTuber.
Mhm.
Um, and it was this guy who was covering Michael Bay. And he was showing
Mm.
Michael Bay before his films. It's easy to only see people at the moment when someone's career explodes, but what you fail to see is that it kind of was exploding. It's just not in the mass consciousness quite yet. And he had these
Yeah.
commercials, and people are known less for commercials, but that were massively successful. And they were so already his style. They were Bayhem, and they were
Yes.
like these,
Yes.
like over the top kind of things. And
Yeah.
the guy was just pointing out, he was like, you can see how people grow, and kind of it's not a surprise when they reach this level if you just, and it doesn't matter necessarily what medium you're doing it in. It's like just do it well
Mhm.
in the medium that you're in. And especially with the stuff that we do, of course it's
Exactly.
transferable, right? It's like it's a camera, so like whether the camera's on an Instagram reel or the camera's on a major movie set, you're behind a
Yeah.
camera. So oh, that's cool. That's really cool. The it's
Yeah.
always interesting hearing about influences, and it sounds like yours
Yeah.
is quite personal.
Yeah, and like I will link you to his work, man, and like you'll definitely see like some just fantastic. I'm actually, you know what? I think I can just link it right here. Can I?
You
Let me.
can, yep, you certainly can into the
Would you like me to? It's
I
okay.
would, yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
All right.
I always want to be show more interesting artists all the time, all the time. I read
Yeah,
by
and the thing about
recommendation.
it is like he doesn't even the thing of the reason why I love Ito-san so much is that he doesn't even see like what I see in him. And it's just like he's like, oh yeah, it's just nothing. It's just whatever. It's like, dude, this is phenomenal. And this is why what you did here, like crazy, and like then you did this with this. It's like that's incredible work. He's like, it's like it's cool, but like I just really want to do these TV shows. I was like, please do it, go, like like just do it. It's like yeah, I'm just trying to push him because I think I see. I think I guess it's just him being very very humble in his work, but
Hmm.
um, I just see such a future for him, and like I just want him to. I want people to see what I see in him, and he's honestly like not only my greatest influence in Japan, but also like family to me now, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's great wherever you can draw inspiration from. Like, there's a guy
Yeah.
that I really love. I want to watch more of his work. It's like just in small snippets that I know how much I appreciate it. And it's cool because I think he's one of the people. There's a lot of things you were talking about taking for granted, or we were talking about that earlier. And it's cool when things happen in film and you think they've always been there, but actually that there was an originator. There was a guy, maybe unintentionally, he just thought that this looked cool, but it was something that he did. And there's this Japanese guy again, but it's anime. I don't believe he actually has any live action, but he's called Satoshi Kon, or Kon.
Okay.
And he does like Perfect Blue is the name of one of his films. Another one is Paprika. Wow. And they're real dreamlike. They're really, really trippy ones usually. And he's so cool. It's great to get a chance to talk about it here. Maybe people will check out Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue was, you know what, I'll do the Google thing here. Let's see if I can do this without, I can put it to the side. I'll see, when was Perfect Blue made? When was Perfect Blue? Because this matters. So the 1998. Okay, so Perfect Blue is about this woman who is a pop star in Japan, pop idol, and it's about, you can't quite tell if she's losing her mind or not, but she's seeing herself, or I should say more specifically, her artist persona, who she is when she appears in her shows. She starts showing up as like around her, like this other person. And he was messing with the idea that people are going to create through their internet avatars personas that are them but are stronger than the like physical self, and how dangerous that can be, because when that becomes more of a representation of who you are than you, then it can get away from you. You like who you are as a representation can then dictate back to you who you should be, which, I mean, it's supposed to be the other way around. And he made that film prior to Twitter and Instagram and, Facebook exploding. And so he was really, really kind of prescient, seeing into what we would become in the not so distant future as we are now. Yeah. Now, that's just talking about him in terms of like the narrative, which is really cool. But the other was his dream, one of the dreamlike qualities, which I'm sure you've seen. It's like scene matching for transitions. So it's in camera. There's no trick to it, but it's the sort of thing where if you had pouring water in one scene, it then transitions to somebody pouring sand. Or
it's like a match cut.
That's what it's called. There you go. Match cuts. That it's such a cool in-camera thing. It's great. Now I found myself, one thing that I'm getting further and further away from, even though it's in camera, is it's funny. I don't mean to be a contrarian, but it's more just I get tired of things. I want to see something else, even if it's to return to what just hasn't been done for a while. I don't like slick movement transitions anymore. And those are in camera. Like, it's, and they're invisible. Like, I appreciate that people are doing them in camera, but it's just everything now, because of TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, is someone doing a slick movement transition. And it's just so boring. That
I know. And honestly, like pans, like those quick pan transitions, and like, all those different crazy transitions that you see in a lot of stuff, I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan at all of it.
I'll
because admit, I felt like I just feel like it takes away from the story, really.
Okay.
Honestly.
Sure. And that, if it's, I like match cuts in some sense then, because a match cut can be symbolically reinforcing some element that you might be telling in the story, as opposed to a movement, which, as slick as it may be, I get it. Like when you particularly do it, say for example, people are trying to create, you're doing like first person perspective drone shots, and the sense that you're supposed to get it's you. And so then I'm like, do slick movement transitions, because the immersion to feel like you're flying is the point. But just then to do it in everything so often that you see now, it's like hacked to me. And I'll own the fact that's probably as well because it's just a tiresome thing where I'm like, if I hadn't probably seen that for the last year or so, if it was new, it would be shiny and I would like it. But it's definitely something now
Hmm.
that it's just a case, a case of overexposure. But like you're looking
Yeah.
around at so much stuff, I think that's so important because it doesn't matter if it's from like the
Mm.
20s filmmaking or if it's now, but just to keep people guessing, to keep their
Yes.
experience of your work something that doesn't and not to say that there can't be classic elements, but that people should feel like, oh, that, anything that is new, is novel, people connect with. So I feel like staying on the edge of that is important. Like
Yeah.
it makes people
Definitely.
pay attention, so that's
Yeah.
that's why I like it.
I mean, it's really all about planning your cuts, right? And so what I'm hearing from it, and I'm actually looking at for Perfect Blue right now because it seems like a fantastic movie. Is that like each single transition that he did was, planned, and it was
Right.
definitely like it's something that he wants to do, and to be able to tell his story. And like honestly, for me, I feel like a lot of those different crazy transitions that don't really they're just there just to be there.
Hmm.
I I just feel like it's kind of laziness in your storytelling.
Sure.
If you're not like who want person who did it great like Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson, he's the ruler of pans and like quick zooms and stuff like that. He's just fantastic at it, but everything was deliberate, you know. And it's just match cutting is just a show of fantastic pre-production. You know, it's
Yes.
just what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
You're planning out your
absolutely.
shots, planning out your
Totally.
shots.
And it's not exactly the same thing, but I wanted to return to like the value of, you were talking about like experiencing all these different pieces of art, is you actually see art is in its whole, like I you this don't want to make it too heavy, get too like philosophical about the whole like making stuff, but art is this is a cool concept for people. A film is its own thing, of course, but you could
Mhm.
actually think of every single film as one big film, and you'd be like, what are you talking about? What do you even mean? But it's like, if you're able to see the interconnectedness of it in the simple way, like just it's all on film, like, or it would have been at
Yeah.
one point, then it makes it one film. And it's really cool to see the influences of artists through time, and it kind of, you feel like a part of something. Like, I didn't know this until I was looking a little bit more at Perfect Blue. One of my favorite directors is Darren Aronofsky. Love that guy. One of
Hmm.
the first films is like, I get that it's dark, but I love it, and it's like beautiful in its own ways. Requiem for a Dream,
Hmm.
and there's a
It's one of the.
scene. Okay, cool. There's a
Yeah.
scene
Yeah.
in Requiem for a Dream that is the love interest of Jared Leto, Jennifer Connelly, and she's in a
Yeah.
bathtub with her back down, and she's got her head under the water, and then she like screams under the water. It's like really, really powerful. It's blatantly taken from Perfect Blue. The girl does it in Perfect Blue, almost exact
Oh wow.
composition. And it was why I found so interesting what you talked about, where you were like, I use references to create what I want to do. And I was like, I swear that's exactly what Darren must have done, where he's like, I want to do that, but create the live version of it. Because it's obvious. Like, I'm certain if you asked him, you were like, you take that from Perfect Blue? He'd be like, oh, yeah, yeah, I did. Um, and then another cool thing that I saw recently where I was like, oh, I could connect the dots. I read what is her name? It was Frankenstein. I read Frankenstein recently, and Anne Shelley, or whatever the hell her name is. First of all, it's
Hmm.
amazing that that woman wrote that book when she did, and they didn't burn her. I thought it was like an old book, but it's 100 years older than Dracula, and Dracula is an old book. And in that book, there's this sweet line about from the creator, from Frankenstein, talking about making his monster, where he's like, if you don't believe in my concepts, then follow my precepts or something. I was like, man, that isn't, it was just like really eloquent and cool. I was like, where is that from? And then I noticed, shame that the movie absolutely blew, but the promotional material was really good. In Alien Covenant, the most recent Ridley Scott, there's the creator of the android David is talking about
Yeah.
making the android, and that line is what he quotes, talking about the creation of the android. And when I first saw it in the promotional material for the film, I was like, man, what a sweet line. And then when I read Frankenstein, I was like, oh, this is an homage to Frankenstein because he's
Yeah.
making his monster. And so the more, let it be it novel and kind of interesting, where you're like, oh, it's cool, those are connected, but it just shows how important it is, where like brilliant ideas in some sense, they're just being passed down. They're just like
That's
whatever
all it
was a good
is.
idea.
That's
And
that's exactly it.
it's and so makes it so important, whether by reference or just because you love it, or you're looking for a better workflow, just to make sure that you're getting into different stuff. I'm curious for that. How do you choose what it is? Are you just like, machine gun, like Uzi, just like check out everything, or is there like particular, like this week I'm gonna check out this genre, or is it this week I'm gonna do this director?
That's a good question. The how can I explain this in a sense? Depending on like what kind of project I have coming up,
Mm-hmm.
I try to put my mindset into the feeling that I want to portray in
Mm-hmm.
that project. And so like I will start watching, you know, content that might have that particular feeling
Okay.
so I can just get a better understanding of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
for example, like all of yesterday and the day before, I was binging Queen's Gambit.
Oh, okay.
And and the reason why is like because I wanted to do a kind of, I can't really explain too much about it, but I wanted to kind of get into a earlier time.
Mm.
How was life in an earlier time? How was people's interactions at an earlier time? How did people speak? How did people dress? How did people think? And so I watched Queen's Gambit, and I was holding off on it for a while. And I've heard some people say it's just an amazing TV show, and I've been holding off on it because it's like chess, and I've never really been interested in chess. I was like, all
Sure.
right, this might be dumb. Like I will watch it, but I'll watch it later. But as soon as for like the first 15 minutes, I was like locked in. I was like, wow, like
Mm.
this is a fantastic show. Like it is incredible. Yeah,
Cool.
so it's kind of like that's kind of how it is. Like whatever kind of feeling or mood that I'm trying to portray, I will try to find something that kind of relates to that particular mood.
That's cool, because then that would create some really fascinating connections, because the mood could
Yeah,
be this genre, it could be that genre, it could be, you could still get like wild variety from that, which
sure,
which is
definitely.
which is an interesting way to do it. Okay, that's
And
cool.
it kind of just it sparks a lot of creativity. It's like, okay, maybe I can do something different with this. Maybe I can light this scene a little bit this way. And like I think about it from the entire aspect of the project, from the color grading to the set design to the way hair and makeup is, every single thing, it gets inspired from some piece of art somewhere else. And like my team and I, we have like a whole database of just images.
Hmm.
We will pick like, and we have them all labeled like classic, or what if it's like Neo Tokyo, or what if it's like um just anything. We have them all categorized, and we just have a bunch of images of what we've seen throughout the week or what we've been watching recently. Of what, we'll take a screenshot of it and we'll just throw it in a category
That's
on our
awesome.
Slack.
There's not enough that could be said about like creative organization That's really
Mhm.
useful. I mean, let alone just have your B-roll organized, like that's it's really
Yeah.
good, which I mean, I
Yeah.
can't claim. I mean, I'm at the point where I want to do that. I haven't done that. I've got like I did it for like a little bit of stuff that I used to have, but man, just that's a whole other conversation we could have as well. I mean, is different.
Mm.
Obviously, there's like as an artist, as a director, as anybody who's involved in this kind of medium, like I really think one of the cool elements of it is the whole, like I call it the buffalo concept, which is you use the
Mhm.
whole buffalo. That it's you could be creating revenue streams from so many different things, and it's important that you do, because especially as you're developing, because there's no clear door that you walk through to become a director. It's not like you join, the director school and then you get it. Like, you have to be
Yeah.
generating income from everything. And stock footage is one that I'm really interested in, but I haven't
Yeah.
even done yet. But it's a great way to do it. Stock photography, like, and it just more people need to know about it. Like, there's a channel. I'll like quickly say this. They're called like Mango Street, and they really are
Mango
fantastic.
Street,
You
really
you
great.
you
I
know the
love it.
okay,
I
you
love
know
it.
the yeah,
Love them to death, of
and
course. Yeah.
they always talk about that stuff, and it's like I just think it's important because it can feel overwhelming, especially when somebody's like, well, I want to start doing this, and I was willing to work a day job, but now that even I'm generating a little bit of income, how will that ever be enough? And the whole point is that it's not supposed to be initially. It's that you could do this, you could do that, you could put it all together. But that's a different conversation. That's one we'll
Hmm.
have to have you on again, and we could
Yeah,
get into that as well. But
definitely.
thank you so much for coming on, Ty. That was a fantastic conversation.
Thank
Like,
you for having me.
yeah,
Thank
man,
you. Like this is awesome. I've
pleasure.
been looking forward to this for a while.
You want to give, so where can people find you? Where, like, we'll put on the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
we'll put your social links down below, but like where for the people who are listening if they want to check out your stuff.
Yeah. So like our website is under construction, but it should be back live on Tuesday, and that's studiolifellc.com.
Okay. Okay.
So you can find us there, and also search us on Instagram, Studio Life LLC on Instagram.
Wicked.
And then my Instagram name is Tyler Creative _.
Cool.
And yeah, that's where we're at.
Right on, man. Well, thank you very much, and we'll have to have you on again
Thank you.
very soon.
Thank you. Thank you, man.